Hello, how are you today? So glad to see you. It's another beautiful day. It's cold and crisp down here in Atlanta, but we're rocking and rolling with Eva Marie Everson. The next 6 weekdays for this week and the first two of next week, we're hosting Christian Conference Directors Week number 2, so that you can think and plan and pray and save. As you look into 2019 and you are considering perhaps attending one of the Christian writers or speakers conferences held during the first 4 months of next year, we're giving you information we already have, and we're giving you more so that you can make an educated decision and have time to pray. Plus, Christmas is coming up. Who do you know that loves you, that may want to host you or support you financially? Hi, I'm Patricia Durgan, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials by and for Christian writers, speakers, and artists. This is episode number 182, Florida Christian Writers Conference Director Eva Marie Everson. Hello, Eva Marie.
Hello, Patricia.
It's so good to see you. You're always full of energy and always look lovely.
We just had that conversation, didn't we? Yeah, sometimes.
When did you get into this writing field? How did that happen? What was the epiphany? You were living life, and the next thing you know, you're on this road.
Yeah. It's kind of a Cinderella story in some respects. I always wanted to be a writer, but I had a teacher who dissuaded me. Now, I had several who encouraged me, but the one teacher who dissuaded me, I listened to her words over the ones who encouraged me. And I went into nursing, and I'm happy to report that no one died because of my being a nurse. I had patients who died, but they were probably on their way out anyway. So, but it really, I do have that compassion where I care for the sick and the dying and that kind of thing. But it really was not my field. And as it, as everything just kind of laid out, I was like, 20 years into my working career, and a door swung open for publishing. And I knew this is what I had always wanted to do. And this is a very short version of a very long story, but I just walked through the door and here we are. So it is kind of a Cinderella story, but I've worked very hard, very, very hard. Yeah.
And you've accomplished a lot for Christ in lots of different arenas. You wear several different hats. Will you tell us currently which of the many hats that you are wearing today?
Well, I wear several hats a day. I am the director, along with Mark Hancock, of Florida Christian Writers Conference and the North Georgia Christian Writers Conference. I'm the contest director at the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference. So I handle 2 of the 3 contests there, the SELA Awards, which is industry-wide, the Foundation Awards, which are the awards for the conferees at the conference, and then slightly oversee the Director's Choice Awards, but that really lies with Edie Melson and Diane Mills. They are the director and the co-director, respectively. And I'm also the managing editor for Firefly Southern Fiction. I am a writer, of course, and I speak a lot. And I'm also a freelance editor and writing coach. So, yeah, it's according to what day it is.
Yes.
And, I forgot. Oh, my gosh. I'm the president of Word Weavers International, which takes the majority of my day.
That's what we were looking for.
Yeah. Oh, good. Those people.
For those who are watching, both in the live and the replay, would you encourage them that you just listed out not quite 27 items of responsibilities that you have and honors and privileges that you have to serve, but you didn't start out with 27, did you?
Oh, goodness, no. I've gotten down to 27. I just started out as a writer. And really, actually, the whole thing started with, I was writing for a children's ministry, which kind of, at the same time, I was teaching Old Testament theology in a night school arena. And those two things kind of led to all of this. It was just one of those things where, God was like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do them together. And then little by little, those things opened up. So,
yes.
yeah.
So if you're watching and the enemy's trying to make you feel bad because you're only a writer or only a speaker, just tell him to get on down the road.
No. In fact, I don't suggest this life for anyone. But periodically my husband says, you really need to give up something, but I can't imagine giving up any of this at this point. So I truly do love what I do. And I think, honestly, I am usually working between 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I could go until 11:30 at night if I didn't force myself to stop. And it's not because there's so much work to do, although there is. It's that I just love it so much.
Yeah. I understand that. What was the first conference that you went to? Do you remember, writers or speakers, or was it a mixture?
The first conference I attended was the Mid-Atlantic Christian Writers Conference up in Maryland, and I went as faculty. I had never been to a conference. I was invited to speak at the conference. I'd never been. And I thought, well, goodness, they want me to come and they're going to pay me. So, okay. And I thought, well, I'll just follow along. If everybody's walking to the right, I'll walk to the right. If everybody goes to the left, I'll go to the left. Had no idea what even took place at a conference. And at one point, Gail Roper looked at me during the faculty meeting because I'm just voraciously writing down all these notes. And she looks at me and she says, Eva, you've never been to a conference before, have you? I said, don't give me away. Please don't give me away. And no, I had not. But I have attended 2 writers' conferences as a conferee. But everything else, all these years of conferencing has been from the faculty standpoint or director.
And there's a real sense of responsibility there, isn't there, that you carry, whichever role you're playing there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, James, I think it's James 3:1 says that the teachers will be judged more harshly, and whenever you are in that kind of position where you are teaching someone or leading someone, there is a great responsibility. It's a wonderful privilege. It's a privilege to be anointed to do something, to be appointed to do something, certainly to be called, but it does come with a responsibility.
And it's very exciting to help someone else. When they've left, that the Lord used your words to help them go and fulfill their calling. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. And sometimes frustrating when you think that the light bulb has gone off, and then a couple of weeks after the conference, it's not uncommon for us to get an email or a letter or a call that says, I'm just too scared, or I just don't think I can do this. I think the statistic is that only 20% of the work that is asked for by editors and agents ever comes back to them. So I often encourage conferees to go home, take a couple of weeks, breathe. When an editor says, I would like to see this, send it to me, he doesn't mean within the next 30 seconds. So just calm down. And don't let this overwhelm you, and take your time.
And they're also not saying that just to be polite, are they?
No, they don't say that just to be polite. They don't. There's too much. So it's kind of like an elimination round. When at a conference, when an editor or an agent sees something and they just simply don't think it's ready, they're going to tell you this is just not ready, or it's not right for my house. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they will say it's ready, it's just not right for my house. And maybe there's a possibility that there's someone in the room that, this would be perfect for so-and-so sitting over there. I actually had that happen to me a few years ago. A young woman came, she brought her work. It was unbelievable. I was not acquiring at the time. I was just sitting there with her as a writer and a mentor. And I said, I mean, this is really, really good, Sarah. And I looked over, and Vicki Crumpton had no one sitting in front of her. Vicki was with Baker Revell, still is. And I said, Vicki, are you meeting with anyone? And she said, they didn't show. And I said, can I introduce you to Sarah? And so I scooted Sarah down 2 seats. And I think Sarah's probably now published 4 or 5 books with Baker Ravel. I'm not sure if she's with Bethany or with Ravel, but I'm thinking she's with Ravel. And it just started from that one little moment. So, there's that. But then if they do say, oh, I like this, I want to see it, it's got to pass the next step. So just because they say, I want to see it, doesn't mean it's an automatic end. Please don't think that. Yes. Sometimes once they get it back, it's that moment of elimination. Okay, I've got 5 that I really like from this conference, but I can only take 2. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of elimination. But this is one of the reasons why I encourage the conferees to go back and really polish that work before they send it off.
Mm-hmm. And the conversations that they have during those appointments, whether they're impromptu or they're planned and arranged and so forth, those are priceless in the sense that they're not going to, unless they have a very unusual lifestyle, they're not going to have access to these professionals at any other time in their life.
No. And again, so often I receive emails from strangers saying, I just wrote a book. Can you tell me what I need to do? And, how do I mail this in? Well, those days are over. The days of the SASC are over. You really have to get yourself to a writer's conference. And consider this. If, let's say a writer's conference is $1,000, and I'm just going to use 1,000 because, that's a round number and I'm a terrible mathematician. So it's going to cost, all together it's going to cost you $1,000 to go to this conference. But while you're there, you receive a contract with a $10,000 advance. Well, who's ahead? Mm-hmm. So you have to consider it an investment, which is another reason why we talk a lot at Florida Christian Writers Conference about the business side of this. We have a CPA who comes in to talk with any of the conferees who want to meet with him, to talk about, should I be an LLC or an S Corp or a limited, or, what is it that I need to be? Mm-hmm. And then how to file taxes on all this, because this is business. This is business.
You're the first conference director that I've had occasion to talk to that said this about the actually hosting, intentionally seeking out a CPA to come and help people understand these legalities. Everybody says that you should do it, but they don't actually help you do it. That's right. So far unique to Florida Christian Writers Conference.
Yeah, and he may or may not become their CPA, but he can offer them the advice that they're going to need when they go back. So there are 3 things that we actually offer at Florida Christian Writers Conference that I think makes us a little unique. The first one is the CPA. The second one, and this is not totally unique, but we have a world-class photographer that comes in, and so you can get headshots and things like that. But we also offer a massage therapist because so often at conferences, you see people rolling their shoulders because they've been hauling materials and books and walking back and forth, and then they're sleeping on a strange bed, or they flew, or they drove, or whatever, and their backs become tense. And so she offers 15-minute chair massages to get those kinks out. So there is always greatly appreciated.
Yes. When I saw that element on your website, I thought, okay, well, that just tells me so much about you and how much you care for your attendees that you would go outside their typical box and see a need and fill it. A typical.
Well, I care for my attendees, but me. I'm usually the one who's in the worst shape. We've hauled boxes in and set up tables and drug podiums from here to there. And, when everyone gets there, it all looks like it just all magically appeared. But we were there for a good day and a half earlier, killing ourselves, hauling everything in from the storage unit, that kind of thing.
Well, Word Weavers is the parent organization of the Florida Conference. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you've got a Georgia conference as well. You've already mentioned it, and we'll talk about that another time if you can come back.
I would love to.
Okay. That's later. That's later in the year. Is it?
It's in August. Yes. Yeah. It's in August. Yeah, the mountains in August, which is nice, reprieve from the heat. Yes. And Florida, of course, in February, which we don't have to do a lot of arm twisting sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure. God calls people to Florida, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. He
might not call them to Michigan, but he calls them to Florida.
Right. Yeah, not in February anyway.
Let's see if we have any comments or questions. Oh, yes. Here we go. Lisa Kibler, I know that you know her.
I do.
She says, she makes me use more exclamation points than I'm supposed to.
No. They know I'm anti exclamation point. Exclamation point, exclamation point.
So that's an inside joke. Lisa,
Yeah, Lisa is one of our Word Weavers presidents, as a matter of fact, and we just advanced her to mentor. So yeah, we love Lisa.
she just mentions that she has she leader, mentor, and encourager, which she's got so much energy. I know that she's a fantastic encourager.
Awesome.
And her book that's coming out next year is going to be so fantastic. I was able to interview her and Marshall, and just fine people. Jeannie Waters is here. She says that the conference sounds wonderful. Janet McHenry is here. She says, "Hey, Eva Marie."
Hey, Janet. I love her. Love all these ladies.
Yes. So, Word Weavers began in 1997. You were in the very beginning stages of that as well.
Yes, there were 5 of us.
How did it go from 5 members meeting together to encourage each other and give each other critiques to an international ministry that now also incorporates 2 annual writers' conferences? That's big.
Oh, yeah, slowly. If it happened all at one time, I could not have handled it. You know, when we started, we were just going to be a little group from the Northland Church who were involved in writing in some capacity. And like I said, I was in this writing for this children's ministry. But there were 5 of us, and suddenly it began to grow, but we weren't really prepared for that. And so then it began to do this. And I was driving home from one of the Word Weavers meetings. We only met once a month, and I was driving home. And there were only 2 of us that were there that particular month. Mm-hmm. So, and one was me. And I drove home and said, I'm never going back. This is stupid. I mean, I just wasted an entire Saturday morning, and, I'm busy, God. I mean, don't you know? And I'm just fussing with God. And I call it my Constantine moment. I got stuck on the overpass over I-4, and the sun came down and hit the hood of my car and kind of shot out in this cross-like prism.
Wow.
And it was like I went from not knowing something one second to knowing it the next.
Yes.
And I went home. I had full clarity of what we were going to be doing as far as what used to be just Word Weavers is now Word Weavers Orlando. I got on the phone. I called a lot of the old members, and I said, we are going to reorganize. I don't even think we were called Word Weavers at the time, but we're going to reorganize. I'm the president. I'm in charge. And you're the vice president, or you're the secretary, or, and so I formed I called it the steering committee. Mm-hmm. And then we just organized that puppy, and it began to grow, and people started coming in from other parts of the state. And then we had a gas shortage, and they said, oh, we can't even carpool anymore. Well, then why don't we start your own groups? And then Jerry Jenkins got involved. He heard about us, and he poured not only time and effort and energy, but money into us. And then we went. Wow. And then we came up with the idea of Word Weavers online groups, and that expanded it across the globe. And we are now at a little over 750 members, I think.
And that was a paragraph of information, but that took years and sacrifice and prayers and lots of people being involved and all kinds of things lining up.
And getting it right and getting it wrong. And trying this, and that didn't work. So let's try that. Oh, yeah, that works. And we're at 22 years come March. And then with Florida Christian Writers Conference, Billy Wilson, who started the conference, I think 33 years ago, I've lost count now, had decided that she was going to retire. And, just through a process, it ended up in my lap. And I said, well, we're going to let Word Weavers be the parent organization. And then we decided, hey, we need to start another one. And but when all of that happened, Mark Hancock was president of Word Weavers Volusia County, and just a wonderful man of God. And I said, I'm going to need help on this, because I knew he had great organizational skills as far as large events and things like that. So definitely depended on him. He's my numbers guy. He's contracts guy. He can look at a contract and tell you immediately if there's anything wrong with it. I just go, yeah, okay, I'd just sign anything. So I so appreciate Mark. He gives me a hard time, but I appreciate it.
It sounds like you make a good team.
I think we do. A lot of times people call us the Donnie and Marie show because you can tell we're brother and sister in the Lord. You can just so tell. We have such a great relationship, and we just cut up with each other a lot. And, it's people ask us, is it an act? Did you practice? It's not.
It's all natural.
We get together, so.
Oh my goodness.
There's no script, there's no script.
Viewers, like I always do, I'll have all of these links that we mentioned in this episode. I'll have them post them immediately after the episode is over. So feel free to write things down, but don't feel like you have to, because we want you to have the information. We're not trying to give you 10 seconds to write down 27 letters. Okay. So yeah. We got you covered. So let's talk just for another moment about word weavers and the camaraderie and the learning and the nucleus of the core purpose. We can't get that information whether we're online or we're in person. We really need to have other people look at our work that respect us and love us so much so that they will tell us things we don't want to hear. Is that right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And let me just throw this out. If you're not familiar with word weavers and you want to know more about it, it's word-weavers.com. So you can find us like that on the internet. We have a brand new website, so go check that out. But yeah, we have a method of critique that just simply works. And part of that is we don't send anything ahead. We bring it with us. Okay. So you're looking at it cold. And that's exactly the way an editor would look at it. It's the way an agent would look at it, et cetera. You go to a conference, you're just handing it to them for the first time. So we're looking at it cold. And we talk about what we like about it. That's important. This is strong. This is what works. This made me cry, that kind of thing. So okay, this is the part I don't need to work on. I don't want to change this. But then we also critique. And that is not ripping apart, shredding someone's work. That is, you use the word walked here, but I think a stronger word would be ambled, that kind of thing. Or if you take this third paragraph and move it up to, look at the flow. I'm not telling you have to do it that way. These are all suggestions. At the end of the day, it's still your baby. You can do whatever you want to with it. But if you're in a group of seven, and when you're the seventh, and six of them tell you the same thing, you might want to listen, So it's completely up to you. But it also teaches our writers to listen to editors, because when you're being critiqued, you're not allowed to speak. You have to zip it. You can't argue. You cannot defend your work. I don't care that your mother loves it. I don't care that your grandmother wept. If I'm coming at this from a more professional level, so that's what we want to look at. We're not trying to impress our parents or our grandmothers or our next door neighbor. We're trying to get our work out to the masses. So what can we do to make that better? Yes. And then once we're done with the critique of the critique, then we go back into something positive again, because you always want to leave someone with a positive note. And as Billy Wilson used to say, something positive is not your margins look good. So. But it's truly, I want to make a suggestion that you send this to so-and-so, or, hurry up and finish so I can read the rest of this, that kind of thing. Yes. So, but we do want to look at what works, as well as just some things that we think, say that 3 times fast, would make the work better.
Because that's the goal. We have to reach the reader or the viewer, the end user. And if we don't do that, then we have missed the mark, haven't we?
We missed the mark. Yeah. I mean, if you just want, to impress yourself, write in a journal, but there are rules that are outside in publishing. There are little things, like if you start a sentence with though, it's typically read through. So start it with although. You can use though later on in a sentence, but start it with although. Just tiny little things like that. And I mean, is the Oxford comma in this season or is it out this season? So it's all of that. And then
I heard it was never.
What different houses expect and what they want. Yeah. Do they want the pronouns for the deity of God to be capitalized or not capitalized? So we are constantly educating at Work Weavers. It's not just a matter of getting together once a month to critique. We have an online method of education. One of my mentors, actually my head mentor, calls it the living room university. So I like that. I like that a lot.
And yet, this does not take the place of a conference.
No, absolutely not. It gets you ready for a conference.
There we go.
That's the point, to get you ready for a conference. Yes.
And you don't have to go to a critique group, be a member of one for 20, 30 years or 7 months or fill in the blank. And yet, if you choose, if that's the path that Christ has given you, you just got a little bit more knowledge when you go in the first conference than you would have if you had not yet been in a critique group.
Right. That's right.
A good critique group.
A good critique group. And that's, that's why we allow everyone to talk. I mean, sometimes it's a matter of, I don't know where commas go and that kind of thing. But the next person says, oh, well, I do because, I was an English teacher for X number of years. I know where a comma goes. And then sometimes, we are better at just the overall feel of it. And maybe the next person in the group is better at the things like the rearranging of the parts. And sometimes, I remember with the work that I'm doing right now, it's a little different than anything I've ever done before. I'm stretching myself as a writer. And one of the women in my critique group said, this is different than anything you've ever written. And I said, yes, it is. She caught that. Uh-huh. And so she began to ask me and look at how this was going to be different, how I was planning to stay on course with this. But see, that's feeding me as a writer, and I needed that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tracy Bradford's here. Hello, Tracy. So good to see you. How are you today? I know you're just popping in, but we'll be back for the replay. Let's go through the nuts and bolts then. It's the Florida Christian Writers Conference. It's the dates are March the 6th through the 10th next year, of course. And that runs Wednesday at 1:30 through Sunday at noon. Is that information correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Actually, till 1 o'clock if you want to stay for lunch. And the Mexican on Sunday.
The location is Central Florida, and it's at a particular location. Are you always at this conference center?
We have been for many, many years. I think next year that's going to shift somewhere else. Okay. But it will be at Lake Yale Baptist Conference Center again.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then people who fly in, what's your ratio? Do you know? Do you track that? What's your ratio of local, regional versus the other 48 states?
Well, I'm not the numbers person, so no, I don't. Mark, yeah, Mark. I mean, I think it's probably more people. There's the Barker. I think it's more people probably driving in than not. But sometimes they're driving in from the other 48. Sometimes, we do have people that come from other countries as well. Yes. So I don't really know what the ratio of that is. But you can fly into either Orlando International, which is in Orlando, or Sanford, Orlando, which is in Sanford. But we have a shuttle, and we will pick you up. So
I like the practicality of that. Some don't. You just get there the best you can.
Right. And that kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, I would be one of those, if I was not on faculty, I would be one of those people who lands and it goes, now what do I do? Yeah, how far does Uber go?
So it's in the Orlando area. It's at Lake Yale Baptist Conference Center. In 2019, has been there for a good while. Now, I didn't see a deadline to register, but you just sell until there's none left, and usually that's all, isn't it? All the spaces.
Yeah, and then that's all she wrote. So, and this year especially, we lost 30 of our guest rooms this year. And so we have a deal right now with a local hotel. If you want to, like especially if you're one of those that says, oh, I just have to have my private room. I have to have a private room. So we've got a deal going with the Hampton Inn. It's not too far away. But you're going to need your own transportation. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it's going to allow you to have your privacy. And at the same time, you'll be able to register as a commuter instead of on site. So it will balance out. But, for the most part, hopefully people will be able to be on site because it's so much fun to be right there. Yeah.
It's different. It's different. They both work, but there's a difference.
Yes.
Now, there are 3 scholarships, but they're not, one is over. The deadline for that is passed. And the deadline for the other 2 is right upon us. Is that right?
It is. It's like within 2 days. So it's the 30th, the Lloyd Bowman Scholarship. And then the Bruce Brady Teen Scholarship. I think it's the Bruce Brady Teen Scholarship.
Yes.
And then the Bruce Brady Alumni Scholarship is over. We've already given those. And when we have like one major scholarship, but we give a lot of partial scholarships. So, if just because you don't get the entire scholarship, like a full scholarship, doesn't mean that you are not offered something. So we always encourage everyone who needs that financial assistance to certainly ask for it.
And we don't have to wear a badge that says, I got a scholarship. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Nobody knows. Nobody cares. We do care in the respect that we are so happy that we were able to do this.
I've heard that there are some conferences that the scholarships have not all been appointed because enough people didn't apply.
Wow.
It makes people very sad. There's an opportunity and it was perfect and poof, there it went.
Yeah.
I was going to say something very wise. I'm sure it was just very wise. And I've lost it.
Well, I have another crisis over here. I think my dog has to go out. So I'm hoping I can ignore her long enough.
Well, if you absolutely need to step out, just do it.
I know. I don't know how to carry you with me.
We're live. That kind of stuff happens when you're live. We just go.
Oh my goodness! I just took her too. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, if it gets really desperate, we'll. And now a word from our sponsor.
Janet asked a question. Janet McHenry, what are the specific features of the Florida Christian Writers Conference that could draw first-time attendees? And you're heavy on the first-time attendees, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We have a book proposal studio, and you walk in with an idea, you walk out with the proposal printed and ready to go. It's a 3-hour course that we do on Wednesday afternoon before the official kickoff on Thursday morning. On Wednesday night, we have a sock hop, which is a lot of fun for networking, between our conferees and our faculty, especially for, first-time conferees who are a little nervous about, do these people actually put their pants on one leg at a time? And we have a pitch studio where we teach you how to give that all-important pitch. We have mentors that that are pre-set up who you can meet with. These are the people who you can sit down with. They have looked at your work before the conference. They're not just there to say, change this paragraph or, you're not ready or this, that. They're also ready to talk to you about your career choice. What is the path you're going to take to get to your goal? This is your goal. Let's talk about the path, not just, lofty goal. Let's really lay out what would make that work. So I think those are some of the things. Obviously, with it being such a relaxed atmosphere, that sense of just being able to hang out with the faculty all during the day, but especially in the evenings in the building called Maple, the beautiful, beautiful, like oversized living room with a fireplace and a cafe and that kind of thing. So a lot of games happen there. I've been told. I'm usually collapsed on top of the bed by the point, but I have passed by and seen a lot of things going on. The other thing that we do, and I don't know if this is necessarily for first-time conferees, but for everyone, is we offer quite a few classes in the evenings because, my opinion is you can sleep when you get home. So we know you are spending hard-earned money to get there and to be there. We want you to have the greatest, bang for your buck. We want you to come away and say they could not have possibly taught me anything else than what they taught me while I was there. Try to sleep, during the nighttime hours, but in the evenings, we are all about, just that constant education and networking all day long.
I love it. I like busy conferences. Some people don't care for them, and they prefer a slower pace with more free time. But that's part of the thing that you need to research when you're researching conferences. What kind of pace?
Look for retreats. If that's what you're looking for, look for retreats and not conference.
Good tip. Good tip. David Winters says,
Hi, David.
Lisa Worthy Smith interrupted. She says, when you gotta go. She's talking about your puppy dog.
I know. I'm petting her right now. Like
David Winters says, very heavy, particularly after Thanksgiving dinner. He had something else, but I lost it. He's giving us the benefit of his wisdom. Lisa, such valuable information. Thank you so much. David says the wisdom of Salome, always. So let's talk about the faculty. Now, you got a keynoter to end all keynoters. Tell us about her.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Liz Curtis Higgs. Yes, we are so excited. So excited. She'll be with us. She'll speak on Thursday evening, Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning. So, yeah, I know. I mean, where can you go and hear Liz that many times? And, she's so accessible. One of the things I love about Liz, I met her in 1999 when I first really came into the business. And I saw her again in the year 2000. She remembered me. I was stunned. I was so stunned. And she seemed like she genuinely was interested in what had happened to me in the past year, which was I had my first book come out, so that just spoke volumes to me. Yeah. And she's such a woman of God, but she's so real, there's no pretension with Liz, and I love to hear her laugh. She's got the best laugh.
The conferences that I've been to, and then the other people in charge of conferences, all the people that I know in the Christian writing field and the speaking field, the ones that are the most accessible are the ones who typically come to the conferences. If they're up here in their own mind, they don't come to serve, because you are if you're a faculty member, you are serving.
You are. Yeah. I wish I could. I can't pay these people enough money for what they do. I wish I could, but I can't. So we do try to make it a time of relaxation for our faculty as well, that there are times when they can just kick back just a little bit. And, if you need to take 30 minutes or an hour or, whatever it is that you need to take, that little bit of a break where you just need to, because if you're overtired, you could have the best thing ever written sitting in front of you, but you're so tired you don't know it. And I've certainly been there as a faculty member where, I'm just exhausted by this point because I did not schedule enough time for myself to step away. I didn't even schedule time to go to the bathroom. So, but.
Here's my barker coming up, making her presence.
Yeah, what is
a family member's walking in the house. David says, David, I see your word and I know what the word is. Circuitous. I can't wrap my mouth around that word, David. So I understand what you're saying, but I can't repeat it. I can't say supercalifragilistic either. I can't say it. Oh, man. Jeannie says, Liz. She's very excited about Liz being there. Of course.
Yes. Yeah, we are too. We are thrilled. And again, because she's just so accessible. We've got a lot of New York Times bestsellers coming. We've got Liz. We've got Rachel Houck. We've got Lynn Austin. We're really excited about Lynn coming in. Carol Kent is leading our speaker track. I mean, it's, in fact, I had an editor that contacted me not too long ago and said, "You got Lynn Austin? Wow." And for anyone who doesn't immediately recognize Lynn's name, for heaven's sakes, I would love to be Lynn when I grow up as far as writing is concerned. Gracious, she can write. But, they had to cap the Christies when she just kept winning year after year. They finally had to say, okay, this is enough. You cannot take home any more Christies. And so from then on, we're capping the Christies, I think at 7 or something. But I think she was the first one to hit 7 Christies.
Man.
Her work is absolute brilliance. It's remarkable. And yet, again, one of the most down-to-earth, easygoing, fun to talk to, accessible people in the world. I don't think she knows how good she is.
I was really impressed.
For Carol Kent, she's lovely, she's poised, yes. Eloquent, but her heart is all about giving, and making sure that if this is the call on your life, that you have all the equipment you need for this. She and Jean both, they're absolutely remarkable. So I'm thrilled with this lineup. We've got some new editors, we've got new agents, Adria Getz, who is all the way from the West Coast in the United States. Excited to have her with us. We've not had her before. Tessa Emily Hall is going to head up not only our teen scene, but also she'll actually represent as an agent as well. So we just have a great lineup. Bob Hotstetler's coming back.
Okay, now there are people who are watching this who aren't familiar with Bob. And they don't know why everybody starts smiling. So will you explain that to them?
How do you explain Bob?
Yeah, he's quite unique.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we love Bob. Bob, we love you. So I was at a conference last year with Bob, and there was a change in plane. And I, got on the next plane, and there sits Bob, and I was like, so I texted and I said, I'm on a plane with Bob Hotstetler. What could possibly go wrong? So he is a wonderful, wonderful man, wonderful agent. I don't know I think he's a former pastor. I don't think he's still pastoring, but has one of the most unique sense of humor of anyone I've ever met. He's kind of a pun guy, He's a fun guy, or a fun guy.
And so knowledgeable.
Oh, gracious. Very smart.
Walking.
Very, very smart. He's almost as smart as me.
Well, there you go. Really,
I got to make sure he watches this.
Between the two of you really don't need all those other faculty members.
Oh, my gracious. Well, I want to say something else, because one of the things we focused on this year also was children's book writers, because a lot of times children's book writers don't get the attention they deserve. Sally Apocadoc is going to be there. She represents children's book writers. Rachel Pellegrino, who has Little Lamb Publishing, or Little Lamb Books, I think it's called. She is going to be there as well. We have Courtney Lassiter, who is over, I think it's Keys for Kids or Keys for Kingdom. I'm sorry that it's hard for me to remember. And then of course, we have someone representing Focus on the Family who will be there as well. So we really wanted to put a lot of emphasis on children this year, children's book writers. And of course, our illustrious Michelle Medlock Adams, who has won a slew of awards as a children's book writer, will teach the continuing class as well as several of our workshops.
I appreciate the fact that that you've got great editors, great agents, and then great freelancers / professional writers. Sometimes when you go to a conference, it's a little skewed.
Yeah.
And only one of those 3 categories is strong, or 2. And can you help us understand the value that an appointment, impromptu or planned, with somebody who is on the list of writers / freelancers on your website? There's a lot more to them.
Yeah.
And they're a writer, and they just published their first book. There's great depth there. Can you help us understand the value they bring to the table?
Well, absolutely. First of all, they've walked the walk. They've been where you are, and they know what it takes to get to the next level. So they're very good with that. They also, because they have walked the walk, they know a lot of the pitfalls, and then they know a lot of the things that work. They will help you when no one else will, when it comes to social media or how to build a platform or any of those things. But also sometimes it's a matter of they know just the right person that you need to talk to next. Remember the story about Sarah Thomas with me. I was there as a freelancer. I wasn't there as an editor or an agent. I was there as a freelancer. So here I am talking to her just as somebody, who was hadn't written my first book, but I had several books under my belt, but I'm there as a freelancer. But Vicki had been my editor for 13 books. So I felt very comfortable turning to her and saying, Vicki, do you not have an appointment? So I'm going to make a suggestion that maybe you talk about like what some of our costs look like if you've got that up while I take the dog out, because she's like, I can't wait any longer, So
Okay.
can you do that for me, Patricia?
Yes, but tell me what it is you want me to mention.
Well, maybe go over the cost that's at the website.
Okay.
All right, and I'll be right back. This should not take for long.
We'll see you when we see you. Let's see. Let me get that information for you because they are Jeannie. Hey, Jeannie. Bob is hysterical and very knowledgeable. His sessions are a wealth of information. Absolutely. So let me get that page up because there's variables on the cost. So I've got it right here. Registration page. So here you can either be a full conferee, which means you go from Wednesday to Sunday, and that includes Wednesday dinner and Sunday lunch. So it's the full spectrum. And according to what your occupancy is, some of that is dependent upon the price. So you can come the whole entire conference. You can come a portion of the conference and just the smaller area, the Thursday through Sunday, not the extras. And you can also be a commuter and go either live somewhere else and drive in, or you can be somebody who has arranged and come in, would have normally been at the hotel, but the hotel, the lodging is not available. So you could go to the Hampton Inn for that discount that Eva Marie mentioned. So you can go for the full conference as a commuter for $525. Then you can go all the way up to the attendee. If you have a friend, oh my goodness! If you and someone else room together, you can go for $825.
And I think that's Thursday. That's Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah, that's the full package there.
Yeah, because you can't come on Thursday and it's less.
And that's $725. Yeah. So
and let me say this: we don't break it down like, and now this is your meals. It's the full Monty. It's I shouldn't say that. That means something else. It's the full deal.
All inclusive.
I just said that. It's the food, it's the lodging, it's the conference, it's the general sessions, it's everything. Yeah.
You get there, write the check, pay the bill, and you've got everything that's available to you. You don't have to be.
Well, you've already paid before you get there. So.
Yes. Oh, and I wanted to ask you also. Now, I don't see that in my note this very second, but there's something about partial payments. Can you walk us through partial payments?
Absolutely. So if you're going to be there, you want to come, but good golly, it's right here at Christmas. So, I just can't put the whole thing down, or I don't want to tap out my credit card right now. You can put $300 down. That holds your spot. Like I said, it's a tighter deal this year. When it's sold out, it's sold out. And we are out of single rooms. They are gone. So that would at least hold your spot for you. So it's $300 to hold the spot. That's it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then would they pay in full the balance before or or does it stretch out afterwards?
Before.
Okay.
Again, Mark, my wonderful business manager, director extraordinaire. That was, because he's in business, that was one of the things he said. You should never have it. It's so chaotic the day of the conference, when it starts.
Yes.
And people come in and say, I don't know what I owe. And, you got to figure all that out and hope that your notes are together. But everything is computerized for us. So we know exactly what it is, but you need to have that taken care of before you get there.
And that's easier for everybody, really better for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes somebody will come in and say, I would like to add this. And we'll do that, but that's a lot more rare.
And also, I've got to, Tracy may not be able to stay the whole time, but I want to ask you about the add-ons here in just a moment. Let me see what Tracy's got to say here. Excuse me. She says, I'm in that group of recently traditionally published authors. I didn't realize there were conferences using that type of knowledge. That's wonderful. I'll have to look into seeing whether God leads me to do some work in that direction. Good, Tracy. I'm so glad that you came today and you're learning. Lisa says, please have Eva Marie mention the VIP breakfast. Aren't you skipping ahead, Lisa? Well, let's jump right to that, the add-ons.
Yeah. So VIP breakfast is actually one of the ways that we supply our scholarships. But you go in, you get your breakfast tray just like usual, but we have a private dining room. And so you go in there, it's beautifully decorated. Our social director, Taryn Suiters, takes care of all of that. And it's beautifully decorated. You get to eat in there, but also you have a keynote speaker. So it's just a little extra information, a little extra encouragement and that kind of thing to start your day off right.
And as I'm recalling, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like $15. It's very minimum cost.
It's $15 for all 3 days. And so it's $5 a day. Yeah. It's $15 for all 3 days.
Oh my goodness! I'm so glad you get this.
3 extra speakers.
That is great. There's also the book proposal workshop, which you've talked about already, and that's pre-conference. That's the day before the formal conference begins.
That's correct. Yes, it's 3 hours or more if needed. Kathy Bruins and Kim Delvacourt run that, and like I said, you walk in with an idea, you walk out with and bring a flash drive because you can download it into your flash drive and take it home, but we will print it for you there. We'll make copies for you there. And then you've got it ready for the editors and agents. And a lot of people, they don't even know what a book proposal is, much less how to write one. So it's very beneficial, especially for our newbies.
I love the practicality of that because I like to be inspired and motivated. I like that. I like to hear theory and strategy, but when I come in and I don't have something in my hand and I leave and I have a finished project in my hand, you just sold me for the rest of my life.
Right. Absolutely.
The last add-on that I saw was that the handouts, which are normally digital, that they can actually be purchased for a little bit extra fee, and then on a flash drive, you just take them home with you.
Right. And so you buy the flash drive and it's got all the handouts, but it's also got, special things from the different faculty members, anything that they want to send in. Our praise and worship leader, we upload his praise and worship album. So you can take that home with you as well. So some little extra things that you otherwise would not get from, just from having handouts.
Okay. I had some other questions, but I want to skip that page of questions and I want to talk about 13 contests.
Yeah.
13 contests.
Yes.
Now, you can't tell us everything about all of them, but give us an overview of those, please, Eva Marie.
Well, we do have our contest every year. I'm not sure. I think it may be $25 to $30 to enter, per whatever it is that you enter. These are for unpublished. So in other words, if you've already published in fiction, specifically, let's say you've published in romance fiction. If you haven't published in suspense, you can enter that. If you've published in nonfiction, but you've never published in fiction, you can enter that. But once you publish in something, don't enter that. That would, because this is really for our unpublished writers within those genres. So we have quite a few genres to choose from. You can go to the website and check that out. FloridaCWC.net will get you there. Also, if you go to the Word Weavers website, you can just click on Florida Conference and it'll take you to the very same site. But just look up contest and everything that you need to know is there. We have professionals who judge the contest, And then on Saturday night, we have our awards banquet. We call it the Just Desserts Dessert Banquet. And it's a lot of fun. One of the things you can do is at the website, on the front page where you see Liz's picture, go down just a little bit. My son-in-law came last year and did a drone video of the conference center itself, how beautiful it is. And then the very last scene that you will see is at the Just Desserts Dessert Banquet, and we're all waving. And so you'll see just, how lovely that is.
13 contests, that's a lot. That's just a lot. Let's just say that's just a lot.
Well, Taryn handles it.
I give that one out. That one must be easy to delegate in the sense that no pressure to hold on to that one.
No, not at all. I do the Blue Ridge Conference. That's enough. So I was smart enough to know to hand it off to somebody else. But yeah, we were mentioning earlier about how many faculty members we have, but we have such a wonderful team. I have such a wonderful team.
It's 8 or 9 people, including you?
I think they're all like a little over 60 of us all together.
Oh, you're talking about the entire, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the faculty, yeah. So, but we have such a wonderful team. I have, Taryn is our social director. Jessica, who happens to also be my daughter, is our conference manager. And then Edwina Perkins is a part of our team. She works with the first-time conferees, anything you need to know. Marty Pieper is our chaplain. We have Joe Stinson is our transportation director, so he handles all the shuttles back and forth and what we need with that. Robert Guarini is the praise and worship leader. Sarah Bulls is our production manager, so everything that's going on at the website, that's Sarah, making sure that our handbook is prepared and ready to go and that kind of thing. So I probably missed someone in all of that. Lindsay Brackett is handling all of our videos this year, the pre-conference videos that are being done, where she is interviewing the new faculty members and posting those at YouTube, and then of course we're posting them on social media. So we just have a wonderful team. We truly do.
The Gildens are on that.
Yes, they are. Thank you. Yes. Linda and John Gilden are our bookstore managers. And I was like trying to picture the photograph of us. And we also have a great tech guys, Christian and Charvis Whitted. They're uncle and nephew. And they are wonderful. We have opportunities for our conferees as well as our faculty to be interviewed by Cynthia. Oh goodness, her name just went right out of my Simmons. Cynthia Simmons, who has I think it's called From the Heart Radio, and then also Christian and Charvis and Christian's dad Rick Whitted have a very successful podcast. So, you can go on and be interviewed by them. We have rooms set up just for that, where they can go and do their interviews. So
all of this is happening actually during the conference time.
Yeah. So you can set your appointment and go in and have your interview and go right back to whatever it is that you're doing. And that's helping you to establish that platform that everybody says is so important.
Yes. And once you've done the first one, the stigma's gone.
Yes. It's so easy, So, you're in class. Okay. Oh, it's time for my interview with Cynthia. So you go in that. And then, you've got a few minutes left. So you're going to go to the bookstore and maybe go get your massage or go get a cup of coffee. We have coffee stations everywhere. And, what writer doesn't love hot chocolate, hot coffee, and hot tea? And then there's one conferee who every year brings all the syrups to mix in.
Oh.
Great coffee everywhere. Yeah.
It sounds like quite an experience.
Oh, we have so much fun. But you're worn out at the end because you've learned a lot. Yes. And you've got some great contacts that will carry with you.
Lisa, now I was kidding you, so don't be worried about that. Linda Gilden is here.
Linda!
This is a great conference. Let's let's run through just a couple of more things before we sign out. Number one, do you have a Facebook group that's available before, during, or after?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, if you just type in Florida Christian Writers Conference, it will come up. We have a page. I know that, you know, some of in the past years, the conferees have set up their own pages where they meet together. Yeah, you can just just type in Florida Christian Writers Conference, and it'll come up.
Okay. And that's a page, not a group, but very easy to find.
There are groups. I do know that there are groups, and you may want to type in FCWC or Florida Christian Writers Conference. You know, they're started separate from us. These are people that they don't want to lose contact. Yes. So I love that. All of a sudden, I just, you know, I see them, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that existed. So.
That speaks highly of you and the other members who are leaders. Yes. Are the recordings, do you record your sessions? And if you do, are they available to only the conferees or to the public also?
We do not record the workshops per se, but we do record the general sessions. So like for this year, Liz will do all of them except for Sunday morning. And Bob is doing Bob is doing Sunday morning. You know, he was our keynote speaker last year for Sunday morning. He was so good. He was so wonderful. He brought the Word of God with a flair of comedy, but a seriousness, and we all left with it's just such a vision because of that. So all of those are recorded, and you can purchase those very low price, like all of them for like $20, $25 or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Can the public purchase those as well if they're interested?
You know, I don't even know that that's ever come up, but I'm writing it down right now.
Okay. You never know.
That's right.
I try to be thorough with my questions.
Well, that's a very good idea. I don't know why Mark didn't think of it before now.
Well, don't tell him that I thought about it, then he won't like me. Another revenue stream. And no more extra work. Just another revenue.
I mean, seriously, no. I mean, it's easy enough to do because we mail them, or I think they're actually downloadable, you know, MP3 downloadable. So we just send them send them the link, and they can download it into their computer, and they can listen to it anytime they want. They can put it on a flash drive, stick it in the car now, and
yes. Last question. Tell us about the terrain, what kind of attire, and the climate. Florida in February, so you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, Florida in February, although as you know, I just stepped out with the dog, and the temperature has dropped considerably out there. What in the world's going on? Typically, the weather is just glorious. Florida in February, February in Florida. That would be better. February in Florida is wonderful. Now, we are on a large lake, Lake Yell. And so sometimes when the wind whips up, it can get chilly. So for heaven's sakes, bring a sweater or a jacket. Rarely will you need a large coat, maybe only to go back to Minnesota or wherever it is that you're from up north. An umbrella, always. It's Florida. Again, it's Florida. You never know about the rain, but it's pretty flat, you know, Florida.
Yeah.
We have Mount Dora, which is 400 feet above sea level, but it's very, very flat. The only thing, and we make a note of this, we have a lot of live oaks. And live oaks have those very large roots that grow, it will come up out of the ground. So for heaven's sakes, you know, keep your eyes on where you're going and not looking around. But it's a beautiful location. Again, look at the video on the cover of the website, and you'll see just how gorgeous it is there. The most splendid sunrises you will ever see over that lake. And we just came back from a little retreat there, and I took photographs with my phone that the conference center asked me, can we borrow those? You know, all of their sunrises are just glorious. So yeah, because the sun comes up right over that lake every year. Just in the east.
Every year. Let me check one more time, see if we have any more questions. We're so glad that you're here today.
Thank you.
It has been a wonder. Susan Pierce, and Bob Oster. Of course, we love Bob. Susie Flory.
I love Bob. I met Bob at a conference in PA, I think it was. Wasn't it, Bob?
I'm not sure that he's still here. He comes in and he goes out because of his schedule.
That's
But
Bob. Yeah.
Jan and Bob, I just respect them so. They've done some good work.
Yes.
We don't get to talk as often as I'd like to, but I consider
they're great people. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Eva Marie Everson.
Thank you.
It's been so wonderful. Florida Christian Writers.
My talk is about to start. I have TV monitors over here with the cameras around my house, and my husband was walking in, so I knew that was going to happen.
Okay. Well, the same thing over here. So we just roll with it.
Little nuisance dog, but I love her.
Thank you, viewers, as well. You know that we appreciate you, and so glad that you could join us today. We had lots of information, answered a lot of questions, great feedback about the conference. It was a really good, exciting program today. This has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 182, about the Florida Christian Writers Conference with Eva Marie Everson. Tomorrow, Linda Gilden, I think we know her, don't we?
Yeah, we love Linda.
Linda Gilden, who is the director of, she participates and serves on the Florida Christian Writers Conference, and then she is the director of the Carolina Christian Writers Conference. She's going to join me tomorrow. We're going to learn about that conference as well. She said that this year is going to be the best one ever, and we want to know all about that.
Well, I do too, because I'm not coming this year. How can that be? I thought last year was the best one. What was that last year, Linda? What are we talking about here?
Must be a flaw. We're here every weekday, 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, for you, to help you get your message out online. First, we have to understand it. Then we have to understand who we're serving. And then we have to understand how to market it, because our mission is online.
Right.
90% of the people that we will serve between now and the time we die, it will be through an online effort. That is pretty amazing. Till tomorrow, we'll appreciate you being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.